Look at that dollar store bottle of peppermint oil sitting next to your checkout lane. Most people walk right past it. Pick it up. What I'm about to show you costs $1, maybe $2 if you need both supplies, and it's the single best thing I've done for keeping critters out of this house. Spiders and mice both, gone. Not sprays, not traps, not some contraption that runs on batteries. A tea bag and a little bottle of oil. That's it. Now before you roll your eyes, let me tell you how I figured this out. Because it wasn't from a magazine. It was from the mice. We'd had a dry fall, you know the kind, where everything outside starts dying off early, and something about that particular October brought them in harder than usual. Found the little signs, you know what I mean. The droppings behind the stove, a corner of a bread bag that had been worked at overnight, and the spiders had moved in heavy that same season, the way they do when the weather turns. Every corner of my mudroom, every gap around the back door, I had traps down. I'd sprayed around the baseboards with the stuff that smells like a chemical plant. It helped some, but they kept coming, and I kept spending money, and I got tired of both. My neighbor Linda mentioned she'd been tucking peppermint tea bags around her kitchen for years and hadn't seen a mouse since she started. I was skeptical. Sounded too easy. But I had a box of peppermint tea in my cabinet, so I figured the worst thing that happened was my house smelled nice. Tried it that week. And I'll tell you, I haven't had a mouse take up residence in this house since. That was 3 winters ago. Now here's why it works, in plain terms. Because you don't need a chemistry class for this. Mice navigate almost entirely by smell. Their eyes are nearly useless. When they come into your house, they're following scent trails, the smell of food, the smell of warmth and nesting material, the trail other mice left before them. Peppermint hits their nose so hard it scrambles all of that. The scent is so overwhelming to them that they can't pick up anything else. They can't find food, can't follow their own trails, can't stand to stay near it, so they don't. Spiders are a little different. They don't have noses the way mice do, but they pick up scent through their legs, through little sensory hairs. Strong essential oils like peppermint are deeply unpleasant to them on contact and close proximity. Whether they're walking over a surface that's been treated or just breathing the air near a bag, they want nothing to do with it. There's actually a study from 2017 that found peppermint stopped spiders from entering an area about 3/4 of the time. I can't speak to the study, but I can speak to my own corners, and I'll take 3/4 of the problem going away for $1, every single time. Now here's the part most people do wrong. Plain peppermint tea bags, brewed and left to dry, they have some menthol in them, and they do help some. But the boost that makes this actually work comes from adding pure peppermint essential oil directly onto the bag. That's the key. The tea bag is just the vessel. The oil is the muscle. And the difference between a tea bag alone and a tea bag loaded with oil is the difference between this working and it not working. Here's exactly how I do it. Get a box of peppermint tea store brand is fine. I buy the cheapest one there is, and a small bottle of pure peppermint essential oil. Not a peppermint fragrance oil, not a peppermint blend. Pure essential oil, 100%, it'll say so on the label. That's the one that has enough menthol in it to do anything. The fragrance kind smells similar to you, but there's nothing in it that bothers a mouse or a spider. Don't waste your time, brew yourself a cup of tea like normal. Let the bag cool off. Doesn't matter if you drink the tea or pour it down the drain. The bag is what we're after. Once it's cooled down and still a little damp, you put 5 to 8 drops of peppermint oil right onto it. Give the bag a gentle squeeze so the oil works into the leaves inside. That's your finished repellent. Takes about 30 seconds to make. By the way, I've written up methods like this one. Every trick I use to keep this house running for less, in one place. It's a book. It's on my website. The link's right below this video. Go grab it if that sounds useful to you. I won't mention it again. Now, placement is everything. These bags need to go where the problem actually lives, not just tossed randomly under the sink and called done. Think like something small is trying to come inside. Where would it enter? Where would it go first? Start with the gaps. Behind the stove, there's almost always a gap where the pipe or the cord comes through the wall. Put a bag there. Under the sink, where the water lines come in there. Along the baseboards in your basement. In the corners of your garage, especially if you've ever stored birdseed or dog food out there, under the bathroom vanity, in the crawl space access, if you have one. Every spot, Where a pipe, wire, or gap touches an outside wall, that's a mouse highway, and you want a bag sitting right on that road. For spiders, you're thinking about entry points at the windows and doors, the corners up near the ceiling in rooms you don't use much, your mudroom, your garage. Tuck them into the corners, behind the toilet, along the windowsills. Anywhere that stays cool and dark is a spider's first choice. I usually keep 3 or 4 bags going in the kitchen, one under each sink, 2 or 3 in the basement corners, one tucked behind the laundry machines, and a couple out in the garage. Your house is different, but think through where you've actually seen the evidence and start there. Here's the one thing most people miss that makes the whole system fall apart. The scent fades. Peppermint oil doesn't stay strong forever, and a bag that's lost its smell is just a used tea bag. It's not doing anything. You need to refresh them. About once a week, go back around and put a few more drops on each bag. Takes 2 minutes. If you can't smell it when you pick it up and squeeze it lightly, it needs a fresh dose. On really cold weeks when the mice are pushing harder, or right at the start of fall when everything is trying to come inside, I'll refresh them every 5 days. When the tea bag itself starts to fall apart, and they do eventually just make a new one, brew, cool, oil, squeeze, place, 30 seconds. Now, I want to say one thing plainly that I think most people giving this advice skip. A tea bag loaded with peppermint oil is a deterrent, not an eviction notice. If you already have mice living inside your walls, this is not going to make them pack up and walk out overnight. It's going to make the areas they'd come into next, your kitchen, your pantry, your cabinets, uncomfortable and unwelcoming. If you've got an active infestation, you need to address that separately. Set the traps, deal with what's already in, then use the bags to keep new ones from moving back in. That's where this shines. Prevention and discouragement, not treatment of an existing problem. Same goes for spiders. If you've got an established spider that's built a web in your window corner and been there 2 weeks, putting a bag nearby is going to make her annoyed, not make her disappear. Clean the web out first, then put the bag in that corner going forward. You're blocking the next one from settling in, not ejecting the current tenant. That said, for prevention, it genuinely works, and prevention is the whole game. You don't want them in. You don't want to spend a Saturday cleaning up droppings or spending $12 on a trap kit every other week. This costs almost nothing and smells better than anything else you're going to put in your kitchen cabinet. Now, there's one thing I do need to tell you, because I'd rather you know it than not. If you have cats, be careful with how you place these bags. Peppermint oil is genuinely not good for cats. Cats can't break down the compounds in it the way we can, and if they're sniffing at it heavily or, worse, chewing on a bag, it can make them sick. Keep the bags tucked out of reach of cats inside a cabinet, under an appliance, somewhere they can't get to. The scent carries through the air just fine. It doesn't need to be sitting where a cat can nose at it. If you have cats and you're not sure where they won't go, tuck the bags inside the cabinet under the sink, closed up, and in spaces like the garage where they don't go. Dogs seem to tolerate it better, but I'd keep them away from direct contact too. This isn't something to be afraid of. Just tuck them sensibly and you'll be fine. Let me also say a word about the oil you buy. There are a lot of cheap peppermint oils on the market, and most of them are fine for this purpose. But read the label and make sure it says pure peppermint essential oil, 100%. The bottles that say peppermint fragrance oil or peppermint blend or peppermint with something else, those are mixed with carrier oils or synthetic fragrance, and they don't have the concentration of menthol that makes any of this work. You'll smell it, and you'll think you're doing the job, but you're not. The real thing isn't hard to find. The health food store has it, most grocery stores have it now, and it costs about $4 to $6 a bottle. One bottle will last you months. The whole setup for your first time, a box of peppermint tea and a bottle of oil, runs you under $10 and will last you the better part of a year if you're just doing maintenance. Compare that to a box of snap traps, a can of bug spray, and whatever you lost to mouse damage in your pantry over the winter. I've had bags of rice chewed through, a corner of my bread box gnawed, 2 boxes of pasta I had to throw out. One bad mouse season probably cost me $25 in food alone. This costs less than $10, and I haven't had that problem since. The stores would rather you didn't know this. There's no profit in telling you to use a tea bag. But the mouse repellent aisle in every hardware store is happy to sell you plastic pouches of pellets with the same basic active ingredient peppermint oil for $6 a pack that covers one small space and lasts 30 days. You do the math on what that costs over a winter. A 30-pack of tea bags and one bottle of oil does the same job and then some, for less than $1 per month once you've got your starting supplies. So here's all you need to do today. On your next trip to the store, pick up peppermint tea and pure peppermint essential oil. Come home, brew a cup, let the bag cool, put 5 to 8 drops of oil on it, and tuck it behind your stove. That's your first one. Take 5 minutes and think through where you'd put the next 3. Under the sink, in the basement corner where you've seen the droppings, the garage shelf where you keep the dog food. You'll know your spots. Refresh them once a week. Replace them when they fall apart. Never let them go dry and wonder why it stopped working. Tell me in the comments, have you tried peppermint for mice or spiders before, and did it work for you? And if you've got a spot in your house that just will not quit giving you trouble, tell me where it is. I read every one of these, and I'm curious what you're dealing with out there. This community knows things, and between all of us, I suspect there's not much we haven't run into before.